All right, good afternoon. Carter Stein here with Junior Deputy Baseball. This is our inaugural episode of Junior Deputy Dugout Talk. Privileged to be here with Coach Chris Curry of Little Rock Baseball. Coach Curry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi guys. I appreciate you tuning in, and I am honored to be on the inaugural YouTube talk, and just glad to be helping kids in baseball. So thanks for having me. I know, Carter, we've had a great relationship working around our community with kids and bringing our team out, and you guys do a great job. A little bit about my story. I'm a hometown kid, Little Rock guy, and grew up playing here. Mom and dad, or my dad's from Little Rock, and played at Little Oaks, Mableville a long time ago, and love and passion for baseball. And then graduated from Conway High School. I played for the great Noel Boucher and Barry Luters, who just recently retired, to future Hall of Famers in high school baseball, high school athletics. I got to go to play for Scott Berry at Meridian Junior College. I played with a good left-hander named Cliff Lee from Benton, and was fortunate to play at Mississippi State, was a catcher, and drafted by the Cubs in the 9th round, had an 8-year career with the Cubs and the Giants, AAA, AA as a catcher. Caught the coaching bug probably midway through my career and started to gravitate towards the instructors, managers, and pick their brains. And not really a teacher's pet, but more just kind of wanting to understand how to relate to players. And a catcher's a coach on the field. He has to be. And I realized that was my passion. Got immediately after I retired, 29 years old, went and finished my degree at Arkansas Tech, worked with Wes and Will McCrotty, Billy Goss, big baseball guys. And then I was fortunate to go work for Coach Van Horn at University of Arkansas with Coach and Clay Goodwin, Todd Butler, Dave Jorn, and wanted to be a head coach. So I had to go kind of back where I started. Went back to Meridian Junior College in Mississippi. Was there for 2 years with Dylan Sedeth, my assistant, and then Lane Burrows, who was an assistant at that time at Mississippi State. You can kind of track here with the coaching tree and the spider web that it is. But Lane Burrows got the head coaching job at Northwestern State in Louisiana. Asked me to join him as his pitching coach. Was there for 2 years in Natchitoches. And then the opportunity 7 years ago to come home and lead a Division I Sun Belt program in Little Rock was one that I could not pass up. The program had fallen in hard times a little bit, and that's why they asked us to come in and establish a new culture and a new foundation. And now 7 years later, it's top 100 RPI the last couple of years, some big in-state wins, players being drafted, moved on. The thing I'm most excited about is our academic standards and progress. And we've not had a semester as a team under 3.0 since we've been here. And actually 3 years we've been the academic champion in the Sun Belt, and a ton of community service and guys doing really well.
Thank you, Coach Curry, for sharing that. And you mentioned community service, and one thing that we're very thankful about at Junior Deputy is every fall you guys have come out and helped with our fall ball fun ball program, which is kind of a little baseball camp for 5- and 6-year-olds. So we weren't able to do that this year with the pandemic, but we really appreciate you and your players coming out year after year to support Junior Deputy Baseball.
You bet. And we'll do a doubleheader next year to make up, since COVID got us this time.
That sounds great, Coach. You mentioned, again, community outreach. One thing UALR or Little Rock Baseball does a great job with is holding camps for the youth of Central Arkansas. And I've had the privilege of going to a couple of those camps with my sons who are 10 and 12. And one thing that really impressed me at the last camp I attended is you kind of gave a bucket talk to parents and also maybe coaches who were sitting out there. And so that's really what inspired us to create this YouTube series. Is we would like you and maybe other coaches in the community to kind of give that bucket talk to parents and coaches who may be involved at Junior Deputies. So the floor is yours, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I tried to do that at camps while we always send the kids down to stretch and warm up. And I got a great staff: Artie Spees, Noah Sanders, Christian Reyes, Eric Hansen, Jacob Caples, and John Lepo, our strength coach. And what I always do is try to take 10 or 15 minutes with the parents just to talk and ask questions, because there's so much information that parents are being flooded with about getting their player, their son, their daughter even to the next level. And sadly, a lot of it is misinformation. And as someone who is fortunate to be in the seat that I get to recruit and talk to families and what we're looking for in the academic side and what's a realistic goal and what you need to be doing now or not doing now to give your son or daughter the best chance to be the best player they can be. So that's why we do that. And we get into the academic side, we get into the interaction pre and post game. I'm a dad myself. I've got a 10-year-old son, a 5-year-old daughter. They're playing sports. We mix it up. We play whatever season we're in, we play that game. And that's why we start the camp that way. And whether it be 5-year-olds or 15-year-olds, we tailor it to a discussion and answer any questions anybody might have, because it's very rare that you get to actually talk to the folks that are making decisions about scholarships and coaching the teams.
Yeah, thank you, Coach Curry. One thing that I really noticed in the last bucket talk I heard you give is you had some great advice about what parents should say to their players after the game. So
Sure.
Run that by me again, because I need help with that myself.
Hey, I do too. We're playing flag football right now, and my guy Caleb, he wasn't happy with the outcome, and so we got a little refresher course in, the rules. Hey, did you play hard? Number one, give your best effort, because that takes no talent to give your best effort. Were you a good teammate? Did you high five everybody? Because did you respect everybody? And did you have a good attitude? And attitude and effort, those are the main things. And so we start there after a game, and we kind of run those checkpoints. And he's fiery, my son, and I understand. I like that. He doesn't like to lose, which is a great quality. But we understand there's a time clock, and we get about 30, 40 minutes after a game, and then it's time to move on. And the biggest kind of rules of thumb that I use is that's probably in the drive home the worst time to coach or break down your son or daughter mechanically, or go over their mistakes, or try to fix anything. Because less than 10% of what you say is going to be retained. Number one, they're physically exhausted, just got done playing a game, right? Probably emotionally exhausted after investing in their team and thinking they're going to win, and the back and forth, the ebbs and the flows of a game. And there's probably a lot of emotion there, of anger. And even on a really good game, there's a high emotions. And through emotional times, teaching is not at its best. It's actually better to teach when you're in a calm, controlled moment, kind of in a laboratory, so to speak. Maybe a batting cage can be called a lab, but we just don't get into any mechanics or breaking down the game right after the game. If we've checked those boxes of good attitude and good effort, then hey, we had a good day, and we're going to move on from that. And then 24 hours later, we'll come back and say, hey, that second at bat, what were you thinking there? What'd you see? Or hey, that ground ball, you remember that one? What'd you have there? And let them talk. And there's a great indicator of where they are, mentally and preparation wise. But that's why the older levels you go to and watch games, most of the time, not all, but most of the time, the less active, the less animated, the less emotional you see coaches, because they understand that the hay's in the barn at game time. The coaching's done before the game. My wife and I, we sit in our lawn chair and we don't say much except attaboy. Hey, have a good at bat, have fun, good job, clapping for when our team won or scored a run or nice play. But the coaching from the stands, the coaching in the truck on the way home, it just a lot of times falls on deaf ears, and ultimately, which is the most important thing, may cause a divide from parent to child, which is ultimately what you absolutely don't want.
Right. And so just that's something I really appreciate you talking about is, the effectiveness or the lack of effectiveness of coaches during a game, in-game coaching of players, and then the same thing behind the backstop, telling little Johnny, hey, get your hands up, or hey, little Johnny, get your glove down. Your experience with youth baseball is that's just not effective, is it?
No, it's not. Coaching from the stands, because I use this analogy. Let's say, well, you're a lawyer, or you're an insurance agent, or you're a doctor. Can you imagine being, in the moment, a doctor in surgery or in court or working on a claim, and someone's standing by your desk going, no, talk with more energy, talk louder. No, don't say that. Don't say that. Now, don't forget to bring up this case. All right, be careful with that scalpel. And you just want to look at them and go, hey, be quiet and let me concentrate. Well, the same is true with an athlete. Now, I do understand that there's a crowd, and I do understand that an athlete has to, unless they're playing golf, where everyone has to be quiet. But a team sport, there's 50,000 fans. Ultimately, if you get to the highest level, I get that. But that all, and they're taught, and we taught our players, has to become white noise in the background, just kind of a blur. And parents, you may not know it, but you may be part of that white noise in the background, the blur. They may be tuning you out, and probably are and have to, in order to perform, because it's a hindrance. Now they do hear, and I have heard kids say, yeah, I heard you say, hey, have fun. Go get them. Have a good at bat. Good hack. Atta boy. But less is more. Less is more. Cheer for the team. Cheer for big things, not detailed small things, because, again, that's such an intense moment that their mind and their focus, they're going to be best if they're locked in on what they're trying to do and recall a lot of the coaching that they've gotten before the game. That's what's going on in the self-talk in the moment. If a hitter, bases loaded, bottom of the seventh, 2 outs, they're going to go, okay, well, what did we work on? What do I got to do? I got to get started. And there's a lot of self-thought there. And boy, coaching from the fence. Hey, I take my chair and I go all the way down the right field line, and I sit with my flip-flops with my feet up on the fence, because there's just not much you're going to change during the game from the stands.
And that's tough as coaches and parents. You're used to having control over every situation, and you just kind of got to let them go out there on the baseball field, don't you?
You do, and it is about control. And hey, the heart's in the right place. They want them to do so well. They don't want to see the tears of the strikeout after the game or giving up the home run. Nobody wants that for their child. But in actuality, I think we're doing them a disservice even more if we try to protect them from all failures, because that's what life's about, right? And that kind of measures somebody's grit, and through business or whatever they're doing, is how you handle failure. And you don't set them up for failure. You don't wish that on them. But at the same time, if it's inevitable, and it's about how we handle it, and always protecting them from failure is going to be worse in the long run.
Very well said, Coach Curry. Changing topics slightly. You said you've got a 10-year-old son, Caleb. I also have a 10-year-old son, Charlie. These guys are starting to pitch. How many pitches is too many pitches?
Oh boy. Let's start here. Let me tell you what our guys do. So our weekend starters in our rotation, they're groomed and conditioned. Just to give you a frame of reference, these guys, a couple of guys are 6'4", 6'5", 225, 230, just huge, strong athletes. We'll throw them in bullpens for about 3 to 4 weeks before we get into a game scenario. Let's say when we get back in January to get ready. I see many kids that are jumping right into the fire in January and starting to throw live. So there's a big, long buildup that we do, number one. The first outing of the year, February 15th, again, big, strong Division I pitchers. We're going to stop at about 80, 85 pitches. And those guys are going to get 6 days off. 6 days. These are Division I guys, mandatory. Then you'll have your relievers. And as a rule for us, more than 30 pitches is a day off, mandatory. 45 pitches or more, it's 2 days off for our guys. 60 or more, 3+. And so you start working those numbers down to a 10-year-old arm who's not fully developed, probably not conditioned through long toss, through running, shouldn't be lifting until, they start getting a little hair on their chin. Those bodies are not ready, and those arms are not ready for that toll. And so for us, for example, my son pitched in a league ball. 45 was it. That was it on a Tuesday night. He's done. Next guy. And that meant we're not pitching again for at least 3 days, maybe 4, seeing how we recover. 30 pitches, under 30, maybe can come back tomorrow, but that's a 21 inning outing. And that's because you care, because there's only so many throws in that arm. The way God made our arms to hinge on our body, when we walk, our arm swings down by the ground. It doesn't hinge over our head. That's why softball pitchers can pitch every day with no pain. And so you're tearing down muscle and ligaments and tendons every time you throw at a high volume. Now, the body will repair itself at under a certain amount, but after a while, those threads in there, so to speak, get red and worn, and that's inflammation. My arm hurts, Dad. Well, that's inflammation. Been using that arm a lot. Well, if you never let those threads, those tendons and ligaments in there, then you're dealing with high inflammation and ultimately a tear. And what Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham has come out with his studies, you can read online, is don't throw curveballs, right? That's what we heard. That's what tears your elbow. I don't think you should be throwing curveballs at that age, but it's the amount of curveballs thrown. It's the amount of pitches thrown that are tearing young elbows, UCL, ulnar collateral ligaments, at such a high rate. And so I'm sorry, now you got me on a soapbox, but it's a great question. Back-to-back days of pitching, 1 inning maybe. We start on Friday of a tournament, and we run it up there 60, 70 pitches. It ought to be done for the weekend. And then we know that everybody's going to go to a position and play it, right, to help their team. Well, one of the worst things you can do is put them back there at catcher, because the catcher makes every throw the pitcher made plus some. And so that's a good rule of thumb. Cal Ripken has a good setup, in my opinion. I think one of the pitfalls is start to count innings. Innings don't tell the story. I've seen pitchers get 3 outs on 4 pitches. Some pitchers take 50 pitches to get 3 outs. So for me, I have a little silver clicker in my hand, and it's not for public, and I don't parade it around, but I just got it there in my lap or in my pocket, and it's you can get it in any sporting goods store, and it just shows the pitches right there. And that's just taking care of your child and protecting them and giving them a chance to be good when it matters in high school and college.
Thank you, Coach Curry. And Junior Deputy Little League, we have implemented the Pitch Smart guidelines.
Awesome.
From ages 9 to 16. So we require those mandatory days of rest, and also have the prohibitions on how much you can play at catcher and then also pitch in the same game. So
you guys are on the right track. That's the key. And I think those were researched through professional level players and doctors. And it's not to hold the kids back. We want them to play. It's just, you go from 0 to 100 throws. Wow, you're talking about some big time elbow inflammations, and their 10-year-old, 12-year-old bodies, frankly, are just not built for that. They're not that durable yet. If we restrict our guys that are 6'6", 225 to those kind of pitches, and the big leagues only pitches every 5 days, then what is a 10-year-old, 12-year-old body built to do?
Thank you, Coach Curry. Great answer there. I appreciate you getting on your soapbox for us.
No problem.
Okay. One other question. What is a realistic goal for parents to set for their youth baseball players? We always hear statistics, very few kids make it to the major leagues. Very few kids even make it to college. Is high school baseball a realistic goal to set for a youth baseball player?
Yeah, and let's start by working backwards at the ultimate goal. I do know a few percentages off the top of my head. I know that less than 2% of the drafted players, so if you know a player that got drafted or picked in the MLB just to go in the minor leagues, so only 2 out of 100 of those guys are going to play on TV in the big leagues. Of the minor leaguers, only 2 out of 100. I think in college and Division I is 2% or 1% of all high school players in America get to play at that level. I think it's still under 5% that are going to move from youth ball, being 12, 13, 14, to high school ball. And so I think to set the goal of a level as a parent for your child is dangerous, because once they start getting to 12, 13, 14, their bodies start telling them what they might be able to do and what they can't. Now, there's another growth spurt there at 16, 17. We've heard of kids, even a freshman in college having a growth spurt. But I think, number one, make sure it's their goal. Make sure they're not playing just for dad or mom. But if it is, and they want it with all their heart, then I think to set big league goals or college goals is kind of too far out there. Let's make the ninth grade team. If we're going to work at this thing and we're going to eat right and work out and protect our arm and get on a good throwing program, start lifting when we're about, 7th, 8th grade, let's try to make the high school team. And that's a doable goal for someone who's reasonably athletic, who's been coached a little bit to play catch, hit their partner in the chest, to throw properly, and to have a good, efficient swing. We won't get into the mechanics of all that today. That's another hour. But let's make the high school team. And again, you can want it as a parent as bad as you want it. But to do the things that it's going to take to compete at that level, even high school, there's going to have to be a lot of inner drive, a lot of inner motivation, a lot of inner want to. If you find yourself, and this is a rule as a coach I use for my guys and my kids, if you find yourself as a coach having to pull teeth and always push to get them to do a reasonable amount of practice. Now, I'm not talking about 7 days a week, 5 o'clock in the morning. That no one wants to do that, but a kid. But if you're the one having to pull teeth to do that, they don't have the inner drive to do it. I've got kind of an internal rule. I want my son to come find me to go play catch. And my answer needs to always be yes, unless we've just got a lightning storm outside. And that's a good gauge for how much they love it. And there might be one talk that's worth having to say, hey, if you want to be good at this thing, if you really say and believe in your heart that you want to play in high school or even college or gee whiz, even professionally, here's what it takes. Here's the cost. Are you willing to do all that? After that talk and they process that, it's on them. It's on them. Now, parents want to provide everything to see that dream through and be a reality. But the truth of the matter is that major leaguers are playing on TV right now, and all they had was a piece of cardboard for a glove and a stick and a rock, and they found a way. How many stories have we heard about the old tennis ball thrown against the brick wall or the baseball against the brick wall? It's all I had. I didn't have anybody to play with. If they want it, they're going to figure out a way. And so realistically, shoot for high school. And I wouldn't start talking about that till about 12, 13, 14, because at 9, 10, they just want a snow cone after a game. And we got the snow cone rule at my house. Hey, after a game, if we played hard, had fun, had good effort, good attitude, let's get a snow cone. And that's a good day, because here's the reason. The psychology behind that is if you don't help them fall in love with baseball early or whatever your sport is, that passion's not going to be there to carry them when it's hard training and hard work. Because high school is serious. It's intense. There's pressure. There's early morning workouts. There's tons of running, lifting. College, it's a job. Serious pressure, intense training, weightlifting. And you're not getting up early and doing all the extra stuff unless you have an inner drive. And so if you kill that or squash that in a young player, that fire will never get going big enough to see if they're even good enough to be on that level. And so long answer. I hope that makes a little bit of sense.
It does. And thank you for providing such detail there. You talked about the snow cones. That's one of the great things about our fall ball, fun ball program is we're trying to show those kids a little bit of, teach them a little bit of fundamentals of baseball, but then also show them that baseball's fun. And we always make sure we give them a treat afterwards.
That's the key. That's the key. And that's all they remember too. Do I get my treat? Do I get my snow cone? And that just reminds you that you're working with kids. You're working with kids, and you lay a little bit of a fundamental base of how to catch and throw and understand the game, run to first, slide into second, force play, tag up, teach them the game. And the most fun way to do it, and a lot of times just what I grew up on, and probably you, is a good old wiffle ball game in the backyard, or out in the street if it's safe, in a neighborhood of just compete and not worrying about pool play or what our ranking is or what level we're. No, just compete. Just try to get a hit. Try to get that guy out. Try to tag him before he gets to the base. Understanding the game, and then if they show an ability that they've got a chance to be good, well, then you start refining them and going, hey, try this. That might help you a little bit. Try that. Might help you win a game. But we've got the cart before the horse. We're trying to train these guys to be specialized big leaguers before they even fall in love with the game. And you got to fall in love with the game first, and then you want to keep learning and get better at it where you can compete and win as much as you can.
I think that's very well said. Coach Curry, really appreciate your time today. I did want to give you an opportunity to speak to junior deputy families about ways that we can support you and Little Rock baseball.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. We've been a consistent partner, and it makes us feel good, giving right back to the kids. And if someone wants to play baseball later on, then we'll be there to help them. The number one way to support and grow baseball just in the community is the things that we talked about. Be a good parent, be a good teammate, teach them hard work, running hard, playing hard, good teammate. Stay away from questioning the coaches in front of your kids. That's a bad thing. But if you want to really follow Little Rock baseball, here, your local Division I team, and we play a lot of good baseball around here. We play the SEC teams in non-conference and Big 12. So right here at home in your backyard, big time college baseball. Come to camps first, where we teach and instill a lot of these fundamentals and thoughts and ideas with the kids. Come to the games. Bring your son or daughter to a game. Let them watch. That's where you fall in love. How many stories do we have of mom and dad taking us to old Ray Winder Field and now Dickey Stevens Park, or the Cardinals or the Cubs or the Rangers? That's where a kid falls in love with the game, and watch it on TV. We've got a Dugout Club, lrtrojans.com. Click on baseball, and then you can click around and track that down. Season tickets, chairback seats, you and your kids can sit and watch. Our schedule's going to come out pretty soon. And follow us on social media, and share our information, and just help create baseball buzz, because we're here to make Little Rock proud of our players, of our university, of our baseball team, and then do what we can to leave the soil a little better than we found it, so to speak, and grow some ball players that may play at Little Rock. They may not. That's fine. Give them a chance to go to college, maybe get a scholarship, and help give back to our community. But helping Little Rock baseball by supporting, go to our website. There's a ton of different ways, or you can shoot me an email at cmcurry@ualr.edu.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Coach Curry. It's been wonderful talking with you again. And thank you for everything you've done for Junior Deputy Little League over the years.
Carter, appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work, and let me know how I can help.